Greetings, mighty companions, and thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel for an evening class of some Course in Miracles, Healing Truth. Lovely to see you, and we are going to get started first with just a couple of moments of quieting our mind, closing our eyes, taking a breath, and quieting our mind and opening our mind that we might really hear these ideas and really let them in and hear what they're saying so that we can use them and access the miraculous power that is contained with these ideas. So again, this is the Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles with me, Anna Kujawa. And let's take a moment and then we'll dive right in. All right. So if you're not driving a car and you're able to, close your eyes and take a breath. And just bring our awareness inward, focusing the mind in the present moment. Quieting the mind, and bringing our minds out of the past and bringing our minds out of the future, and allowing our minds to come back home to the power and the peace of the present moment where we are now, and where God is now within us and us in God. And as you tune into the present moment, see if you can detect the presence that lives in the present moment. Opening your heart to it, feeling its love, feeling its power. We're tuning into the spirit within us, the spark of divinity that resides within all of us. Spirit of truth, spirit of healing within us, we give you charge of this time together. Time that we come together to listen to the truth together, to be healed together by the truth. Be you in charge, Spirit. Decide for healing and peace and joy for us. And we thank you for this opportunity to come together in this way and be healed together at this time. Thank you, Spirit. Be you in charge. Beautiful. To that we say amen. All right, I'm going to adjust this. This seems to be having a little, okay, wonderful. And I see that the image looks a little blurry, so sorry about that. I don't know what that means. I hope that that clears up, and we'll just begin. So if the image is blurry or there's something weird about it, just listen to it. Okay, close your eyes and listen to it, because these words are very powerful and very healing. And what's important is that we hear the words and that we try to understand what the words are saying, and that we try to apply them to whatever we're going through today, because this is a Course in Miracles and these ideas are miraculous, which means they have the power to undo our misperceptions, our false beliefs that we're suffering from. They have the power to reveal the truth to us, which corrects our misperceptions, which ultimately brings healing to our minds, which ultimately brings healing to the body. So we're going to talk about the body today. And this section talks about what is responsible, what is really responsible for the condition of the body. And so what that means is that you're going to be hearing about what is the real cause for the condition of the body. You know, what's really going on? Is the body a victim of the world we see, or is the condition of the body coming from something within our own minds? And if so, what is that? And how do I change my mind about my body so that I can have a different experience in my body? I want to have an experience within my body that is peaceful, that is easy. I don't want to have an experience of my body within my body that is that is a dis-ease, that is not comfortable, that isn't peaceful. So I dedicate this section today to us hearing the truth about the body, that we might have a different kind of experience in our body, a peaceful and easy and healthy experience in our body and of our body. All right, so that's what I dedicate this to. And I just want you to know I can see your messages here. I think, let me see. No, I just almost, let me go back. I really want to be able to see your messages. Let's see here. No. How do I get to see that? Sorry guys, let me figure out how to do this. Okay. I would really like to see your messages here. Videos. Okay, here we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can see your chat. Live chat. Thank you. All right. Live chat. Chat filter. All messages. Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you for your patience. All right. So we are in chapter 8, in section 8 in the blue covered edition. So if you have this edition, it's chapter 8, section 8, and the name of the section is The Body as Means or End. And if you have the purple covered edition, which is the original dictation plus notations from Robert Perry, then it is chapter 8, section 7. And I don't remember the name of the section in there, but it's chapter 8, section 7 in this book. All right? But for all of you who have the blue covered edition, it's chapter 8, section 8, the body as a means or end. Is your body a means to something, or is your body the goal? Is your body the end all be all, the goal, or is your body just a means to something? That is the question about how you see your body and how you're using your body, which ultimately determines the condition of your body. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. And I see that Daniel Smith is here. Hi, Dan. Lovely to see you. Hola to you.
What chapter did you say?
What'd you say? It's chapter 8. In the original dictation, it's 8:7. And then if you see what the title of that is, let me know. All right, here we go. It says, first sentence is very interesting sentence. It says, attitudes toward the body are attitudes towards attack. How do you see attack? How do you use attack? What's your interpretation of attack? What is attack for? Do you use attack? How do you use attack? These are the same questions about how do you see the body? How do you use the body? What is your body for? Very interesting that it's saying attitudes toward the body are attitudes towards attack. Very interesting. And so the ego's definitions of anything are childish. What does that mean? That means the ego's definition of anything is always based on what the ego believes the thing is for. So in the ego's thinking, the definition of something is from what the ego believes the thing is for. So what is the body for? Well, that's what the ego thinks that the body is. The ego always defines anything in terms of what the ego believes that thing is for. And when we're talking about the ego, we're talking about the fearful mind, the mind that is afraid, the mind that always sees limit, the mind that always sees lack, the mind that sees the body as the goal. All right. So the ego always believes, the ego always defines things according to what the ego thinks something is for. So the ego is going to define the body according to what it believes the body is for. The ego is going to define you according to what the ego believes that you are for. All right? And the ego does this because the ego is incapable of true generalization. So the ego can never go, the thing is this, it's only what is it for, that's what it is. And so what that means is that the ego equates what the ego sees with the function the ego ascribes to it. That's what that means. And it says the ego does not equate the thing with what the thing is. So the ego is not equating what the thing is. The ego is just, what do I want to use this for? What is this for? Well, that's what it is. Okay? So to the ego, the body is just defined by the ego as to what the ego believes the body is for. So the ego is not defining the body generally speaking, and the ego is definitely not defining the body for how the spirit sees the body. The ego, our ego, is defining our body as what our ego sees the body for. Okay? So the ego sees the body, and the ego believes that the body is for something, and so does spirit. So what does the ego think the body? What does your ego think your body is for? Well, that's how your ego is going to define your body. Now, and remember, how you define your body and what it's for determines the condition of your body. So your definition of the body is very important. It's a very important question for us to ask ourselves. And how is it that our fearful, angry, guilty mind defines our body and sees it, what it is for, is very important, because if we are siding with how our fearful mind sees and is using our body, then the condition of our body is going to be fearful. All right. So it's an important question relative to the body, because this is what determines the body's condition, really. Not your genetics, not the environment you live in. What you are seeing your body for, what you are using your body for, determines the condition of your body. So it's an important question. It's an important thing to look at. So it says, to the ego, our fearful, guilty, angry, separate mind, to the ego, the body is to attack with. That's what it's for. That's its job in the ego's perception. Very interesting. The ego's perception of the body is, it's to attack for, it's to use to get, it's to use to take, to get what you want, to take what you want. The ego's perception of the body is that it is to attack with, which means the ego sees the body as something to use to separate from others with. I don't know if you've noticed that. And so the ego equating you with your body, that's what the ego does. It equates you with your body. The ego goes, you are your body. equating you with the body, your ego teaches that you are to attack with. So the ego sees that the body's purpose is to attack, to get, to take, to separate. And so the ego goes, and you're your body, so that's your purpose too, to get, to attack, and to hate and to separate. All right, well, thanks a lot, ego. Thanks for your perception of me as a body with only the purpose of getting, taking, and separating. Lovely. Now, so the body then is not the source of its own health. I'll say that again. The body then is not the source of its own health. All right, that's pretty important what we're talking about here. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of the body's function. All right, so if you don't like the condition you're experiencing your body, if you don't like the condition your body's in, it doesn't feel good, it's not peaceful, that you experience dis-ease around your body, then remember that is coming from a misinterpretation of your body's function. You are using your body for the ego's purpose. And that's what it's saying here, is that if you don't like the condition your body's in, if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel peaceful, you're experiencing dis-ease in your body, that is coming solely from your misinterpretation of its function. You are misusing it on behalf of the ego. You're misusing your body on behalf of fear and guilt and separation and attack. No doubt. I use my body a lot for the ego's purpose of comparison, judgment, separation, guilt, and I experience dis-ease in my body. So the dis-ease and the discomfort in our bodies is coming because we're using our bodies not for communication, we're using our bodies for comparison, which is an attack on us and an attack on them. We're using our bodies to separate. Oh, because my body looks like this and yours looks like that, we're different. That's using our bodies for attack, using our bodies for comparison, using our bodies for pride, using our bodies to separate from others, seeing how we're different from others because of our bodies. That's what it means to use your body for attack. And if you're using your body for attack, then you're going to think that you are for attack, and that your body's condition will reflect that unloving purpose. This is what the Course in Miracles says about the body and the body's condition. All right, so if you don't like the way your body's feeling right now, then it's time to reinterpret its purpose through the eyes of love, through the eyes of spirit. Spirit doesn't see your body as a means of comparison, or as a means of attack, or as a means of separating from others. Spirit doesn't see your body as a means of confirming differences between others. Okay? The spirit doesn't use your body, doesn't use the body to confirm the illusion of death. But the ego does. The ego goes, look, your body dies, so that means you die, right? That's the way the ego's using the body for attack, and that's the only purpose the ego sees in the body is for attack. Okay? Unloving purpose. Wow. The ego says, see, your body's limited, and that means you are too. The body can die, and that means you can too. The limits your body has, those are the limits you have. Okay? The beauty of your body, that's the only beauty that you have. That's the ego's interpretation of your body. And as you can see, that's going to make you hate your body. Okay? If you're using your body and you're interpreting your body like your ego interprets the body for attack and separation and comparison, then you're going to hate your body. and you're going to hate other people's bodies. And what do you think happens when you hate your body? Well, you're not exactly putting good and healthy chemicals and neurotransmitters into your body. When you hate your body, you're literally programming your body. You're telling your body, I hate you, you are hateful. Well, your body is just the mirror. Your body is just responding. Your body's made up mostly of water. And what does water do? It holds memory. And so if you're hating your body, you are literally programming your body with hate. And certainly health cannot come from that condition in your body. So, so the body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of your body's function. So what is your body for? Okay. Functions are part of being, since functions arise from being, but the relationship is not reciprocal. What does that mean? It means the whole does define the part, but the part does not define the whole. Yet to know in part is to know entirely, because of the fundamental difference between knowledge and perception. In perception, the whole is built up of parts that can separate and reassemble in different constellations. But knowledge never changes, so knowledge's constellation is permanent. The idea of part-whole relationships has meaning only at the level of perception, where change is possible. Otherwise, there is no difference between the part and the whole. Okay. All right, there's some Course in Miracles metaphysics right there. Now, what does that mean? So whenever you're reading A Course in Miracles and you read something you don't understand, keep reading, because it's always explaining itself. So don't stop at what you don't understand. Just keep on reading, knowing that it's going to continually explain what it's saying, because it knows that it is speaking to learners who have literal learning handicaps. So it's this curriculum is meant for people who have literal learning handicaps. So don't stop at what you don't understand, just keep on reading. So for instance, paragraph 2. The body exists in a world that seems to contain two voices fighting for its possession. Ain't that the truth? You know, it's like my body wants to, it seems like one voice wants my body to go do what is not healthy and not good for it and dangerous, and another voice within my body seems to be telling me to go and use my body only for loving purposes. Doesn't it seem like your body contains two voices fighting for its possession? You know, the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. Doesn't it seem like the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other are fighting for possession of your body, right? Yes, it does appear like that. And it says, and in this perceived constellation between being pulled between the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, the body is seen as capable of shifting its allegiance from one voice to the other voice, okay, making the concepts of both health and sickness meaningful. So it seems like the body is being pulled back and forth. What? From shifting allegiance from one allegiance to one voice to allegiance to the other voice, back and forth between the two voices, the voice of the voice of attack and the voice of love. And because the body seems to have a shifting allegiance between love and attack, using the body for those, then the concepts of both health and sickness seem to be meaningful. So I experience sickness and health because my body, I am shifting my allegiance around what my body's for between two voices that speak for opposite things. Okay, that's why it seems like my body seems to go back and forth between health and sickness, because my mind keeps shifting its allegiance relative to what's my body for. So some days I see my body as for only communication of love. Some days I shift my allegiance and see that my body's purpose is for attack, comparison, pride, separation. And that's why I seem to experience both sickness and health, because my mind is shifting in allegiance to what my body is for. Today, it seems like my body is only for communicating love. And the next day, something pisses me off. Now I'm seeing my body as having the purpose of attack. And I'm going to use my body for pride, comparison, and separation. And it says the ego makes a fundamental confusion between means and end, as it always does. And regarding the body as an end, meaning seeing the body as the goal, the ego has no real use for the body because the body is not an end. The body is not the goal. All right. I love it. Michael says, thank you, God. All right. I love it. So the ego sees the body as the end all be all. It's all about the body. I mean, what plans do we make through the day that don't involve the body's protection, pleasure, or pride in some way? To the ego, it's all about the body. That's what it's all about. To the ego, the body is the goal, honey. That's it. That's what it's all about. Okay, and so seeing the body as the goal, the ego really doesn't have any use for the real use for the body, because the body is not the goal. The body is not the end. The body is the means, okay? But the ego, to the ego, no, the body is the end. That's what it's all about. That's the end game here. That's the end goal here. Now, you must have noticed an outstanding characteristic of every end that the ego has accepted as its own, which is this, okay? What is the outstanding characteristic of every end that the ego has achieved? Well, when you have achieved what the ego said was the goal, it has not satisfied you. So every time the ego said, this is the goal, this is the end that we're working toward, as soon as you achieved that goal, what happens? You're not satisfied. Your ego isn't satisfied. It hasn't satisfied you. That is the outstanding characteristic of every goal and every end that the ego has accepted as its own goal. Okay, so you know that you have accomplished one of the ego's goals when you accomplish what you think of as the goal and you're still not satisfied. Oh boy, I must have accepted an ego goal. I must have accepted something. I must have accomplished an ego goal. Okay, because every ego goal that you accomplish has the outstanding characteristic of it does not satisfy you. So everything the ego says is the goal, once you get it, you're not satisfied. All right. Now that's not the case with the goals of spirit. Okay, the goals of spirit, whatever spirit says is the end. When you achieve it, you experience satisfaction. All right. It's a very clear demonstration of whose goal you have accomplished, spirits or egos. Okay. If you don't feel satisfied when you've achieved the goal that the ego said, hey man, when you get this, when you get all the power, fame, money, physical pleasure in the world, you'll be happy, you'll be satisfied. Okay, all right, ego. In other words, when you get all these things for the body, you'll be happy, says the ego. The ego never says, oh, well, when you forgive everyone and everything, you'll be happy and you'll be satisfied. The ego always says, when you get this and this and this and this of the body, you'll be satisfied. But whenever you accomplish whatever the ego says is gonna be the end all be all, it never satisfies you. Because the ego always makes something of the body the goal. The ego always says, when you achieve this of the body, power, fame, money, physical pleasure, then you'll be happy. But we all know We've all experienced that, going for something up the body, thinking that it's going to satisfy you, and as soon as you get it, you think, is that all there is? And then now you feel depressed because now you're wondering, is that all there is? What else? Okay. So, and that is the what outstanding characteristic of every goal that the ego sets for you. And every goal the ego sets always has something to do with the body. Something the body has, something the body does, something the body gains, something the body accomplishes, some way the body looks. You know, if I could just look this, if I could just get my body to look like this, I'll be happy, I'll be satisfied. And then you change your body to look like that, and then what? Do you still feel satisfied? Do you feel satisfied? For a few minutes you do, and then it's like, what next? Okay, now I want something else of the body. That'll make me happy. And then it's just a constant futile search for happiness. You can't find happiness of the body because the body is not the goal. The body is a means to something, but the body is not the goal because the body cannot satisfy you because you are not a body. How can something you're not satisfy you? You are a spirit, a deathless, timeless spirit that can't be limited, that can't die. How can something that dies and is always changing satisfy you, a spirit that never dies and never changes, never becomes something limited and lacking? How can the body that is limited and dies satisfy you, a spirit that does not die, that only expands? So the ego will always tell you the body is the goal. Something of the body is the goal. The body's the goal. The body's the goal. Something of the body is your goal, and it will satisfy you. And that's why the Course in Miracles says that the path that the ego has us on is a path where you seek and seek and seek and seek and seek something of the body to satisfy you, make you happy, but never does. So the ego's whole path can be described as seek and seek and seek for happiness within the body, but never find it. Seek and seek and seek, but never find it. That's the ego's maxim. That's the path the ego puts you on. A path where you're seeking and seeking and seeking and seeking for happiness through something of the body that never satisfies you. And how depressing is that? So if you are experiencing any level of dissatisfaction or depression, it's not because the universe is lacking or limited, or God doesn't love you, or you're not good enough, or you're just not doing it good enough. It's not because you haven't found the right thing of the body. It's not because you're a failure. If you are experiencing any kind of dissatisfaction or depression, it's because you've been making the body or something of the body your goal, and that's why you're not satisfied. You've been looking for happiness and fulfillment in all the wrong places. And so the only reason you haven't experienced fulfillment and satisfaction is because you're looking for happiness in something of the body instead of something about you, who you really are as a spirit. Okay? So it's not that the world has failed you. It's not that you are a failure. It's that you are looking for your happiness in something that can never satisfy you. So that's what's really going on. You're not a failure. The world hasn't failed you. The world hasn't deprived you or denied you. There's not something wrong with you. It's only that you're just looking in the wrong place. You got the wrong goal. Okay? You've been seeking for a goal that is not really a goal that can satisfy you. So that's the good news. Okay? You're not a failure. You've just been looking in the wrong place. I love that. It's like, it's not that love has failed me, and it's not that I have failed. to be worthy of love. I've just been looking for love and happiness in all the wrong places. I've been looking in something of the body. Power, fame, money, physical pleasure, specialness, right? And when the truth is that the only thing that can really satisfy you, a deathless, timeless spirit, is knowing the truth about yourself. And that's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us. What does it say? Know the truth about yourself, and the truth about yourself will set you free, meaning it will make you happy. Only knowing the truth about yourself can satisfy you the soul, you the spirit. So, beautiful. But the ego is telling us that the ego has made the body the end and not the means. So what we're hearing here is that the body is not the end. The body is the means to get you to the end. Okay? The body at the goal, the body is just a means to that goal. Okay? And says, I'll say that sentence again. You must have noticed an outstanding characteristic of every goal that the ego has accepted as its own goal. When you have achieved this goal that the ego accepted for you as its own, then that goal has not satisfied you. And this is why the ego is forced to shift ceaselessly from one goal to another, so that you will continue to hope that the ego can yet offer you something. So that's how the ego does it. So the ego's like, here's a goal, something of the body that will satisfy you. And then you achieve it and you're still not satisfied. And the ego goes, oh, here's another goal. So the ego is forced to shift ceaselessly from one goal to another, so that you won't figure out that no goal that the ego has for you will satisfy you. And that's why the ego is forced to shift how often? Ceaselessly from one goal around the body to another goal, ceaselessly shifting. Oh, here's the next goal. Oh, now this. Oh, now this. Now this. But all the goals that the ego keeps shifting ceaselessly to is something of the body. And it's hoping that you will keep looking and that you will keep thinking and being deluded, being deceived that, oh, well, once I get that, I'll be happy. Oh, and now once I get that, I'll be happy. The ego is like telling you that the reason that that goal didn't satisfy you was because that just wasn't the right goal. It wasn't the right person. It just wasn't the right look. It just wasn't the right body. It just wasn't the right amount of money. It just wasn't the right person. So now here's another goal, and hoping that you won't catch on and realize, hey, every time my ego says, you know, that this'll do it, and that'll do it, and that'll do it over there, something related to the body, it never satisfies me. Okay, so that's the ego's banking on that. If you could just keep shifting the goal ceaselessly, that you won't catch on. Okay, but here we are studying A Course in Miracles, so we are catching on. And so now we have real hope for lasting happiness and lasting satisfaction, because we have caught on to the outstanding characteristic of everything the ego has us searching for outside of ourselves in something related to the body. All right, so good job. Beautiful. I love it. Greg says, ego's gospel is ask and not receive, seek yet never find, and not to have a door slammed in your face. Amen to that. That's exactly right. Right on. That's the ego's gospel. Seek and seek and seek and seek and seek and seek some more, but don't ever find. Which means be continuously disappointed and angry and sad and all right. Now we're in paragraph 3. It has been particularly difficult to overcome the ego's belief in the body as the goal. I'll say that again in a different way. It has been particularly difficult to overcome the ego's belief that something of the body can satisfy you. Why? Because the ego's belief in the body as the goal is synonymous with the belief in attack as a goal. So just like the ego's telling you, oh, if you just get that other thing related to your body, you'll be happy. The ego's also at the same time synonymously telling you that if you'll just attack, then you'll be happy, you'll be safe, you'll be satisfied. So the ego's saying, go get another thing around the body to be satisfied, and attack some more because that'll make you safe and that'll make you satisfied. That's what the ego's telling us. All right, thank you, ego, for that great advice. What a genius my ego is. All right. Beautiful. And that's right, because how do you feel every time you go for another thing? Oh, this will satisfy me. This power, fame, money, physical pleasure, this new job, this new body, this new look, this new person, this new car, this new amount of money, something physical, something of the body. What happens when you have like, oh, this will do it for me, this will make me happy, and you go look for it and you seek for it and you accomplish it and you're still not satisfied? How do you feel? You feel angry. Who betrayed me? I feel so betrayed. I feel so angry. So what do? You attack. You go, you didn't satisfy me, person. You didn't satisfy me, job. You didn't satisfy me, car. You didn't satisfy me, my partner, my friend. And so what comes next? Attack. The Course in Miracles says you will attack whatever doesn't satisfy you. Isn't that deep? Whatever doesn't satisfy you, you're going to blame them. You're going to blame it. You're going to be like, hey, person that I thought was going to make me happy, you didn't make me happy. It's your fault. Okay? So whatever doesn't satisfy you, you're going to attack. And that's why if you believe that something of the body, if you believe the body is the goal that will satisfy you, what you're saying is, I believe attack will get me what I want. Because those two things go together. If you're searching for happiness outside of yourself and something of the body, you're going to be disappointed, then you're going to attack, thinking that attacking this person, place, or thing will get me satisfaction. It's the ego's reasoning is completely insane. Okay, and you can see that the ego's goal for you is not happiness, even though the ego's like, happiness is over there, happiness is out there, go get some of that, go get some more of that for happiness. Obviously, the ego's goal for you is not happiness, because it's telling you to look for happiness everywhere but where it's not. So the ego obviously does not love you, and the ego just wants you to be so disappointed and disillusioned and depressed and angry that you want to die. That is our ego's goal for us. And until we accept, oh my God, my ego wants me to die. My ego wants me not to be happy and satisfied. My ego wants me to be perpetually disappointed and dissatisfied and angry about it, so much so that I will myself ask for death. Now, until you know that that's what your ego is up to, then you're going to keep listening to its voice. But when you see what your ego's about, when you see what its game plan is for you, then you will stop listening to its voice. So when your ego tells you to go seek for happiness and peace and love outside yourself, you'll say, no thank you, I'm not listening to your advice, I'm not going to do that. When your ego tells you to attack, oh, that'll make you safe, that'll satisfy you, you'll say, no, thank you. I've seen the outstanding characteristic of every bit of your advice, ego, so no thank you. I'm going to go listen to a better voice within me. And so even though it's unpleasant sometimes to hear about the nature of your own ego, which is one of the voices in your mind, that's what the ego is. It's a wrong voice in your mind. It's a voice that you made up. It's not the voice that was given you from your creator. So
repeating voice of truth.
Exactly, it's the voice of truth within your mind. It's the voice for love. It's the voice that gives you advice, that every time you take its advice, you experience total satisfaction. You experience peace and love and joy. So you got two voices in your mind, the Course in Miracles is teaching us. And the ego is one of those voices. And, you know, the outstanding characteristic of the voice of truth in your mind is that every time you follow it, you feel satisfied, you feel good. And you're not all about blaming anybody, attacking anybody. All you are is grateful and generous to everybody when you follow the right voice, the voice of love in your mind. So remember, the ego is not the devil. The ego is just a voice in your mind that you adopted, that you kept listening to, so it kept getting stronger. And the voice of the ego in your mind is the voice that's always telling you to go seek outside yourself for something of and for the body that could never satisfy you. So we're learning how to identify the ego's voice, recognize that it doesn't want you to be happy, so it's going to give you advice of everything but that will make you happy, and then learn how to say no to it. And that's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us how to do, teaching us how to recognize the difference between the two voices, so that when we hear the voice of the ego telling us giving us advice and telling us to do something that won't satisfy us, we can say no thank you, and we go within and we listen to the better voice. Okay, and that's how the truth, knowing the truth, sets us free. You know, you're free when you stop listening to the voice that wants you to be imprisoned in dissatisfaction and disappointment and anger and attack. Okay? When you listen to the ego's voice, all you experience is imprisonment. When you listen to the voice of love and truth within your mind, all you experience is increasing freedom and increasing appreciation and gratitude, and an experience of so much of increasing abundance that all you are is generous. So beautiful. All right. And then it says, the ego voice in your mind has a profound investment in sickness. Right. Why is that? Why is that the ego voice in my mind has a profound investment in sickness? Well, if you are sick, then how can you object to the ego's firm belief that you are not invulnerable? Right. Okay. If you're sick, then how can you object to your ego's firm belief that you're vulnerable? So the ego's telling you you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable. That's why you need to go out and get some of this and get some of that and get them and get this. You need to go secure the body for yourself, something of the body, because you're vulnerable. The voice of your ego is always telling you that you're vulnerable. That's all it tells you. Don't expect the ego to ever tell you that the strength of God is within you and it is inexhaustible. The ego will always tell you that you are vulnerable. And when you are sick, how can you object to what your ego's telling you? When you're sick and the ego's like, see, you're vulnerable. How can you go, no, I'm not. I'm completely invulnerable. Of course, when you're sick, you can't object to the lies that your ego is telling you about yourself, about how you're vulnerable. Okay? That's why the ego has a profound investment in sickness. All right. Now, that you are vulnerable, just look at your sickness. This is an appealing argument from the ego's point of view. You're vulnerable. You're not invulnerable. Look at you. You're sick. That's an appealing argument from the ego's point of view, because this appealing argument hides the obvious attack that underlies the sickness. And if you recognize the underlying attack that underlies sickness, when you recognize the obvious attack that underlies the sickness, then, and you also decide against the attack, then you could not give this false witness called sickness to the ego's stand. So when the ego goes, see, you're sick, you're not invulnerable. But if you were to go, actually, the sickness is not an indicator of vulnerability. The sickness is coming from a false witness. It's coming from an attack thought. Then you would be able to go, and I'm not going to side with attack. This sickness is coming from attack. It's not coming because that's my nature, that's my truth. And so I'm going to stop attacking. And then once you stop attacking, then you would realize that sickness is a false witness. Wow. So I love that. So when I am experiencing sickness, which is dis-ease, body, mind, or spirit, instead of seeing that sickness as proof that my ego is right about how I'm vulnerable, if I go, well, this sickness is not proof that I'm vulnerable. This sickness is proof that I've attacked myself, and that I've used my body for attack, and that I have sought happiness and peace through the body, and I've used my body for attack, and that's why I'm experiencing sickness. And this sickness doesn't mean I'm vulnerable. This sickness just means that I've been using my body for comparison, pride, getting, and attack. And every time you're holding a grievance, every time you're using your body for comparison or pride or getting, you're using your body for attack, and sickness results. So the sickness is not proof that you're vulnerable. The sickness is just proof that you're misusing your body. And so that's how we're being asked to look at sickness correctly. This sickness is not proof that I'm just a vulnerable body, that I'm gonna die. This sickness is proof that I'm misusing my body right now, for getting, for comparison, for pride. And I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to use my body for attack anymore. It hurts. It does not feel good. I do not like the way sickness feels in my body or in my mind. But so the ego is saying this sickness is proof that you're vulnerable, and your right mind, the voice for truth in your mind, is saying, no, that's not what it's saying. That's not what this sickness is witnessing. It's just witnessing that you wanted attack, and you're using your body for attack, pleasure, or pride, and that's an attack. You're using your body for attack. That's why you're sick. Not because you're vulnerable. You're not vulnerable. But when you use your body for attack, you will experience sickness. All right. That's so deep. All right. Beautiful. That was paragraph 3. Don't forget to take a breath. This is some deep stuff, isn't it? When we start talking about the body in the Course, that is when we experience the most resistance to the Course in Miracles. That's usually when we fall asleep, close the book, or get distracted, okay? The last thing the ego wants you to hear is that there's another way of using the body. The body is the ego's chief weapon. The body is the ego's home. So the ego that's the ego's home. So the ego does not want you to give the body another purpose. The ego doesn't want you to reclaim your body and give it the purpose of love and truth. When that makes the ego feel like you're dispossessing your ego. It makes your ego feel like you're making it homeless, like you're kicking it out of its home. And the ego does not take kindly to that. So the ego does not like hearing what the Course in Miracles is saying right now. All right. All right. Hey, Greg. So you might want to turn that back on. Okay. Beautiful. Now we're on paragraph 4. It says, it is hard to see sickness as a false witness. So remember, what is sickness? It's a false witness to your vulnerability. So it's a false witness. Okay, so the ego's like, look, there's sickness on the witness stand, and this witness proves that you're just a vulnerable body. Okay, so the Course of Miracles is saying that sickness is just a false witness that the ego is using to prove its case that you are vulnerable, that you're gonna die, that you're limited. And it's hard to perceive sickness as a false witness, for sure. And why is that? Because you don't realize that sickness is entirely out of keeping with what you want. Oh, that's right. I don't see sickness as a false witness because I'm not sure that sickness is not what I want. I mean, all these years, all my life, I've learned that sickness gets me something. We've all learned, I mean, that's what we learned as kids, being sick, being hurt, gets you something, people do something for you. We've taught ourselves, or the ego has taught us over the years, that sickness has a value, and so we're not entirely sure that sickness does not get us what we want. And since we're not entirely sure that sickness doesn't have a value, now because of that, it's hard to see sickness as a false witness to something. See, now when I realize that sickness is entirely out of keeping with what I want, I don't want sickness, I don't like the way it feels, I do not want to experience dis-ease in any form, then you'll see sickness as a false witness. When you experience sickness, you'll be like, oh no, ego, this doesn't prove that I'm vulnerable and that I'm guilty and that I'm gonna die. No, it doesn't, This is just me having misused my body, And so, but I won't be able to see sickness as a false witness until I realize I don't want to be sick. I do not want to suffer in my body. I do not want to experience dis-ease. Okay? And as soon as I decide I don't want that, that's entirely out of keeping with what I want, I will see sickness as a false witness to my vulnerability, and then I won't be fooled by it. I won't be like, oh, I'm sick, I'm so vulnerable, I'm gonna die. I'll be like, I see what you're up to, ego. And this doesn't mean that I'm a body and that I'm vulnerable and that I'm guilty and I'm gonna die. Okay. Beautiful. And it says, and that's why, since I'm not entirely sure that I don't want sickness, then the witness of sickness then appears to be innocent and trustworthy, but only because you have not seriously cross-examined the witness of sickness. Okay? Yes, of attack, exactly. So if you see sickness as an honest and trustworthy witness to your vulnerability, it is only because you're not entirely sure you don't want sickness, and that's why you haven't seriously cross-examined the witness of sickness. Okay, sickness is on the witness stand, and you haven't seriously cross-examined that witness called sickness because you're not entirely sure that you don't want sickness, because you still believe on some level that maybe if I suffered like this or like that, then I might get something that I want, because that's what I learned from childhood. Being sad, being sick, being hurt kind of gets people to pay attention to you, kind of gets people to, do what you want them to do. It's we've learned from our past that we can use sickness to manipulate others to feel guilty enough to do what we want them to do. And so, I kind of see how sickness might have a value. I'm not really sure I don't want any sickness. And so I'm not really seriously cross-examining the sickness, not really looking into the dis-ease, the sickness, body, mind, or spirit. And you notice that we don't seriously cross-examine the sickness. We don't see the sickness as a witness, and we're not cross-examining it. We're not going, now why is it that I would have wanted this sickness? Why is it? We just act like it's natural and it's an accident, and well, may as well use it for some good and get somebody to feel guilty enough to take care of you, body, mind, or spirit. So now he says, but if you had seriously cross-examined the sickness witness on the witness stand, then you would not consider sickness such a strong witness on behalf of the ego's views of you, which is that you are vulnerable. That's a story the ego is trying to promote about you. The ego's like, you're a body, you're vulnerable, and you're gonna die, and you're guilty too. That's the ego's view of you, by the way. But if you had seriously cross-examined the witness of this sickness, then you wouldn't see the sickness as such a strong witness on behalf of how the ego sees you. Now, a more honest statement would be that those who want the ego, or those who want the sickness, are predisposed to defend the sickness. So, in other words, if you want that sickness because it still has some value to you, unconsciously of course, then you are going to be predisposed to defend it, meaning not cross-examine it. When you are wanting to keep the sickness, then you're not going to seriously cross-examine or question that sickness. Okay? You'll just be like, oh, I'm sick. That's natural. That's normal. Oh, well, let's see. How can I use this? And if you are predisposed to defend sickness and the ego, then your choice of witnesses should be suspect from the beginning. Now, the ego does not call upon witnesses who would disagree with its case. So the ego is not going to call upon a witness who's going to disagree with its case that you're vulnerable and you're going to die. So the ego's like any good lawyer. The ego's not going to call on a witness that's going to disagree with its case that you're vulnerable and that you're guilty. The ego's only going to call witnesses that support its case that you're guilty and that you're vulnerable and you're going to die. So, note to self around the witnesses that the ego calls. And also, the voice for truth in you also doesn't call witnesses that would disagree with its case, its view of you, which is that you are invulnerable and that you are not guilty and that you cannot die. And then the voice of the Course says, I have said that judgment is the function of the voice for truth in you. And it's a function that the voice of truth in you is perfectly equipped to fulfill. So the voice of truth in you, its function is right judgment. So it knows the right judgment. That's its job, is to judge correctly, to judge with truth for you. And it's perfectly equipped to do that. So you have a voice within you that's perfectly equipped to judge the truth, your truth, the truth of the matter for you. That's its job in you. So it knows what the truth about you is. It knows the truth that you are invulnerable, that you are not guilty, that you are innocent, and that you are a spirit who cannot die. It knows the truth of you. It has perfect ability to judge that truth for you because it was made to do that. Now, the ego as a judge gives anything but an impartial judgment. And that's why when the ego calls on a witness, the ego has already made the witness an ally. You see how the ego is as a judge? The ego is not an impartial judge. The ego is a completely biased and bought and paid for judge. Okay? Now, the voice for truth in you is an impartial judge. You know, it's not, the voice of truth in you is not a biased judge. Okay, so we're learning about the two voices again, and the ego is anything but an impartial judge, and the voice for truth in you is a judge that is perfectly equipped to know and to judge according to what is true in you and about you. Okay, good to know. Now, and that is paragraph 4. All right. Alrighty. Now we're on paragraph 5. It is still true that the body has no function of itself. So the body is not making itself feel anything. The body is not making itself function. It's still true that the body has no function of itself because the body is not an end. The body isn't a goal. The ego, however, establishes the body as an end because as such, the body's true function is hidden. So when the ego makes the body the goal, you know, something of the body will make you happy. The ego makes the body the goal because making the body the goal is completely hides the body's true function. And hiding the true function of something is the purpose of everything the ego does. That's what the ego is all about, hiding the true function of things, meaning the loving function, the healthy, happy function of things. The ego is always about hiding the loving function, the loving use, the healthy, happy use of things. The ego is always telling you the wrong function of things. Okay, so the ego is always saying, hiding the happy, healthy, abundant function of things. It's always hiding that. And that's because the voice of fear and guilt and anger in your mind, its sole aim is to lose sight of the function of everything. That's its goal. Now, a sick body doesn't make any sense. Why is that? Well, a sick body could not make sense because sickness is not what the body is for. Wow, sickness is not what the body is for. Where have you ever heard that? Sickness is not what the body is for. So sickness is the ego seeing, sickness is the ego hiding the true function of the body. Sickness is the ego seeing in the body a function that the body doesn't really have. Okay? Sickness is the ego's misinterpretation of what the body is for. Okay? Sickness is not what the body is for. Amazing. Sickness is not what the body is for. But whereas, you know, we think sickness in the body is normal and natural. And the Course in Miracles is saying it's not. Sickness is not natural in the body. Wow, who knew? So that means if there's sickness in the body, then the body is being used for a function that the body really doesn't have. Okay, the body is being used not for its natural function. All right. Now, so it says sickness is meaningful only if the two basic premises on which the ego's interpretation of the body rests are true. Okay, so you can only experience sickness in the body if two things that the ego believes about the body are true. So you can only have sickness if one, if it's true that the body is for attack, and if it's true that you're a body. So only if you believe those two premises of your ego, only then can you experience sickness in your body. So so if it's true that that your body is for attack and pleasure and pride and comparison and separation, and only if it's true that you are a body, only then would it make sense or be meaningful to experience sickness in your body. Wow. Okay, so I don't want to experience sickness in my body, and so I want to not agree with my ego that my body is for attack and that I'm a body. Because without those two beliefs, then sickness is inconceivable. So my ego believes that my body is for attack, and my ego believes and wants to use my body for, my ego believes that I am a body. And that's what is making my body sick. And so if I don't want to experience sickness in my body or pain or whatever, dis-ease, then I'm going to have to disagree with my ego about the purpose of my body. I'm going to have to disagree with my ego about that I'm a body. I'm going to have to say no, I'm not a body. My creator's not a body, and my creator created me to be like it is, and so I can't be a body. I may be using a body, but that doesn't mean I am a body. So for me to not experience sickness in my body, which is what my ego wants for me in my body, I'm going to have to disagree with my ego about my body and about what I am. Okay, and so that's where my real health and my real and lasting relief and peace within my body is going to come from. Me not seeing sickness as a valid witness to my ego's belief that I'm vulnerable, and to decide that my body is not for comparison, attack, getting, pride, getting love, taking, and that I need to not agree with my ego that I am my body, disagree and say, no, I'm not a body. Okay, that's the real way, the lasting way to have health and peace in your body. All right, beautiful. All right. Beautiful, lovely. All right, now we are about to start paragraph 6. All right, so wherever it is that you are experiencing sickness right now, whether it's a mental sickness, a physical sickness, an emotional sickness, a spiritual sickness, wherever you are experiencing dis-ease, that is where you want to start disagreeing with your ego that you are a body, that you are vulnerable, that you are guilty and you're going to die, and affirming the truth to yourself that you are not a body, you are a spirit, that you are deathless and timeless, and that you are guiltless forever. So you want to begin to remember that, apply that, use that, affirm that, accept the truth about yourself. Yeah. All right. So that's how we would apply, one way that we would apply these ideas tonight, wherever you are experiencing a sense of dis-ease, where you're experiencing a body. You want to remember the truth about your body, the real purpose of your body, and the truth about yourself as not a body and not guilty. And it says, so because without the ego's beliefs about what the body's for, and without the ego's beliefs about you, sickness is inconceivable. All right, so I know what I want to do wherever it is that I'm experiencing sickness, body, mind, or spirit. Right? Beautiful. Paragraph 6. So then it says, sickness is a way of demonstrating that you can be hurt. Sickness is a witness to your frailty, your vulnerability, and your extreme need to depend on external guidance. That's what sickness is. All right? And the ego uses sickness as the ego's best argument for your need for its guidance. So the ego's like, see, you are frail. You can be hurt. You are vulnerable and you have an extreme need to depend on external guidance. And the ego says, and because you're sick, that's why you need me, says the ego. The ego's like the mafia. And the ego dictates endless prescriptions for avoiding catastrophic outcomes. Have you noticed? So the ego's like, you are vulnerable, you are frail, and you have an extreme need to depend on external guidance, and you need me. And so what you need is this endless prescription for avoiding catastrophic outcomes, says the ego to us. So that's what the ego says, okay? That's how the ego is using sickness and the body. But the voice for truth in your mind is perfectly aware of the same situation, the same experience of sickness that you're having. And the voice for truth in your mind doesn't bother to analyze the sickness at all. So the voice for truth isn't like, ooh, you got that? Okay, well, let's see what we're gonna do. The voice for truth in your mind doesn't bother to analyze the sickness data at all. Because if sickness data are meaningless, there's no point in analyzing them. The function of the truth, or the function of the voice for truth in your mind, is to collect information that is true. So that's how the voice for truth handles the sickness. Okay? It doesn't analyze the sickness or the details and the data of the sickness. The voice for truth doesn't bother with all those details. The voice for truth in your mind just says, hey, let's gather what's true. Let's go find what's true about you. Okay? We're not going to worry about the details and the data of your sickness. Okay? That's meaningless. Okay? All we're going to do is focus on what's the truth about you. What's the truth here? What's the truth about you? Like, you're not vulnerable. You're not a body. You're not guilty. You're innocent. You're a spirit. You're loved. You're lovable. You're innocent. You're free. You're not a body. You are a child of God. So that's what the voice for truth within you does when you are experiencing sickness. It doesn't focus on the data and the details of the sickness. It doesn't focus on the form of your sickness. It just collects what is true about you. And any way you handle the details and the data of the sickness results in nothing. So when you are handling the details and the data and the form of the sickness, then you are doing nothing. That's what you're doing. And the more complicated the results and the form of the sickness, the more complicated the results of the error, the sickness, I'll say it again, the more complicated the results become, the harder it may be to recognize their nothingness. But it is not necessary to examine all possible outcomes of the error to which those premises give rise in order to judge them truly. So that's true that the more complicated the form the sickness takes, it may be, the more complicated, the harder it is to recognize the nothingness of that sickness. Right. The more complicated the sickness, the harder it is to recognize the nothingness of the sickness. But it's not necessary to examine necessary to examine the form of the sickness in order to judge the sickness truly. So you don't have to, examine all the aspects and the data and the details and the form of the sickness to judge the sickness truly. Okay? All that's necessary, it's not complicated. You go, sickness means I am using the body for attack. I'm identifying with the body. I'm using the body for attack, which means I'm using the body for comparison, pride, judgment, anger, fear, all that stuff, and that is a mistake. And I'm just going to focus on remembering the truth about myself as a deathless, timeless, guiltless, innocent spirit. So it's not necessary to analyze all the complicated details and data of the sickness in order to interpret the sickness correctly and experience the healing. Thank you, God, for that. All right. Beautiful. All right. I think we're gonna got one more paragraph, and then we'll probably end our session with that paragraph. And then we'll do an integration meditation where we integrate the ideas. And I love it. Beautiful last paragraph, paragraph 7. A learning device, the body, is not a teacher. So the body is just a learning device. It's not the teacher. But we're using the body as a teacher. Tell me, body, tell me what to feel. Tell me, body, what's happening. Tell me, body, what I am. Tell me, body, what my limits are. Tell me, body, whether I'm worthy of love or not. We're using the learning device as the teacher, but a learning device is not a teacher. A learning device, the body, cannot tell you how you feel. You don't know how you feel because you have accepted the ego's confusion about what you are. You don't know what you feel. You don't know how you feel because you've accepted your ego's confusion about what you are. So if you know how the body feels, that doesn't mean you know how you feel. So what the body feels, that's not what you feel. But we think whatever the body feels, that's what I feel. Because we've accepted the ego's confusion about what we are. And we're using the body to tell us how we feel. Wow. And so that's why we believe that a learning device, the body, can tell us how we feel. We believe that our learning device can tell us how we feel, even though the body's not us. I think it could tell me how I feel. And sickness is merely another example of our insistence on asking guidance of a teacher who does not know the answer. That's what sickness is. I'm asking my body, body, am I worthy? Body, how do I feel? Body, am I good enough? Body, what am I? Body, am I worthy? Body, am I beautiful? Body, am I strong? Body, am I vulnerable? Body, what's the truth about me, body? The Course says that's what sickness is. We're asking our body, which is just a learning device, what we are and who we are. And that's what sickness is. Whew. We're asking our body, am I worthy? What are my limits? Am I limited? Am I good enough, body? Okay. And when you're asking your body what you are, and you're asking your body if you're good enough, and you're asking your body if you're worthy of love, you're going to be sick. Because the answer that your learning device gives you is going to be depressing. It's going to make you angry. And what happens to your body after you've been angry and depressed chronically? You are sick. You know, when you're chronically angry and sad and depressed and disappointed and sad because you're looking for your happiness in something that can't make you happy because you're looking for your happiness in something that ain't even you, you are gonna be depressed and you're gonna be angry and you're going to be disappointed. And when you have those emotions, when you have those thoughts, then your immune system and your body doesn't function well. Your immune system goes down, you flood your body with stress hormones, and then you get sick. So sickness comes from your insistence on asking the body to tell you what you are and if you're good enough and valuable enough and beautiful enough and lovable enough. That's where sickness comes from. But your body and the ego is incapable of knowing how you feel. Your body is incapable of knowing what you are and how you feel. And so then our teacher says, when I said that your ego doesn't know anything, I said the one thing about your ego that is wholly true. And we could put in there the body. When I said that the body doesn't know anything, then I said the one thing of the body that is wholly true. We are asking our ego, we're asking the voice we are asking the voice within us that doesn't love us to tell us what's true about us. And we're asking, same thing, we're asking our body to tell us whether we're good enough and whether we're lovable and whether we're limited or not. And so when our teacher said that the ego and the body doesn't know anything, then it has said the one thing about the body and the ego that is completely true. But there is a corollary. If only what's true has being and the ego has no, if only knowledge has being and the ego has no knowledge, then the ego has no being. Ooh, we are asking for what is true about us. We're asking for how we feel from something that has no knowledge, doesn't even have any being, it's not even real. Wait a minute, I'm asking something that it isn't even real, has no knowledge, has no being, doesn't know about me. I'm asking it to tell me how I feel. I'm asking it to tell me the truth about myself. No wonder I'm so depressed and disappointed and upset and angry, and no wonder I'm so sick in my body and my mind. All right. It says, all right. Okay. Yeah, I love it. In paragraph 9, it says, your loving right mind teaches you to use your body only to reach others. So that's the right use of the body. That's the healthy use of the body. So we heard that the condition of the body depends on what you're using the body for. Now, your right mind, your loving right mind, teaches you to use your body only to reach others so that you can teach love's message through you, so that love can teach its message through you. That's what our loving right mind, that's how our loving right mind is teaching us to use the body. Instead of using the body to get some love and compare us to others, to find the differences, instead of using the body to get something, the Course in Miracles is teaching us to it says that our loving right mind is teaching us to use the body only to reach others so that love can give its message through us to others. And then it's telling us that using our body only so that love can reach others and give its message to others, that will heal us. That will heal us. That will heal our sickness. Because everything used in accordance with love's purpose will function, cannot be sick. So everything that's used according to love's function and love's purpose, that's something that can't be sick. So if you're using your body only for the purpose of letting love give its loving message to others through your body, then your body cannot be sick. Wow. So let's say that again, because that's important. So your loving right mind is teaching you to use your body only to reach others so that love can teach its message through you to others. This will heal you, and anything you use for that purpose cannot be sick. I love that. And everything used for some other purpose then letting love use your body to reach others, to give its loving message to others. Everything used besides that is sick. So don't allow your body to be the mirror of a split purpose. Don't let your body be an image of your own perception of your littleness. Do not let your body reflect your decision to attack. Health is seen as the natural state of everything when interpretation is left to your loving right mind, who perceives no attack on anything. In other words, health is the result of relinquishing all attempts to use the body lovelessly. I'll say that again. Health is the result of relinquishing all attempts to use the body lovelessly. In other words, health is the beginning of the proper perspective on life under the guidance of the one teacher who knows what life is, being the voice for life itself. All right, that's what health is. I love that. That is so beautiful. Health is the result of relinquishing all attempts to use the body lovelessly. Health is the beginning of the proper perspective on life under the guidance of the one teacher who knows what life is, being the voice for life itself, and the voice that is within you. All right. So we finished the section. I did leave out one paragraph to get to how your loving right mind uses your body, which enables your body to not be sick. So we heard how the voice of fear and anger within you uses your body, which produces sickness. And we heard how your loving right mind, the voice for love in you, uses your body, which produces health. And so now we know where sickness really comes from, and we know where health of the body really comes from. It comes from not listening, not using your body for the ego's purposes, and allowing your body to be used by love. And how does love use your body? Let's review. Love uses your body to teach its loving message through you. That's what love uses your body to teach its message to others through your body. That's how love uses your body. Love isn't about trying to get some love and get some things and attack. Love is using your body to reach through your body to teach love's message to others through your body. This heals you, this heals them, and it heals your body. All right. Beautiful. So we finished that section, and now I'm going to just do a few minutes of an integration meditation. Beautiful. And all the details of the classes that I do and that Greg does is in the description of this class. You can watch all of my classes for many years here for free on my YouTube channel. And if you would like to support this ministry, and if you would like to support these ideas expanding and extending out into the world with their healing message, then like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for doing that. Also, if you would like details on scheduling a Miracle Psychotherapeutic Session with me, then look for the ways to do that in the description of this class. Beautiful. All right, guys, so now we're going to do the integration meditation where we take the ideas and we use them. I'm just going to do that for 2 minutes. So if you're not driving or operating heavy machinery, then close your eyes and take a breath. And just notice how you feel right now, having heard these ideas. Does it feel? in your mind, your spirit, your body, having heard these ideas. Beautiful. Now, I want you to bring to your awareness a situation where you are experiencing some form of sickness or dis-ease within your body. Bring that into your awareness. Beautiful. Now I want you to put this sickness onto the witness stand, and let's cross-examine it a bit, shall we? Now, I want you to look and see how it is that you have been using your body for attack. How is it that you've been using your body for comparison, for getting, for taking, for pride? How is it that you've been using your body for separation? How is it that you have been using your body to give guilt to others instead of love? And just review that for a moment. Beautiful. Now, I want you to tell yourself, I am experiencing sickness right now because I have been using my body for the ego's purposes. And tell yourself, my ego is using this sickness to witness to its belief that I'm vulnerable and that I'm guilty. My ego is trying to prove to me that I'm vulnerable and that I'm guilty and that I am a body and that I am for attack. Tell yourself, this sickness that I'm experiencing, this dis-ease, is the result of me using my body for my ego's purposes, which is that I feel vulnerable and separate and guilty. Now I decide that I don't agree with my ego. I am deciding that I don't want this sickness. This sickness is totally out of alignment with what I want. I do not want to be sick. I do not agree that I am vulnerable and that I am guilty. And take a breath. And now I want you to decide that you only want your body to serve love's purpose from this moment forward. Tell yourself, the only purpose of my body is that love would use my body to reach others. That love's voice could give its loving message to others. The only purpose of my body from this point forward is that love would be able to reach to others and teach others that they are not their bodies, they are not guilty, and they are not vulnerable. I now rededicate the purpose of my body to sharing Spirit's purpose for my body, which is that love would use my body to teach its loving message to others, that they are not their body, they are not guilty. Love, I give you my body. The only purpose I would have my body serve is the will I share with you, which is that you would use my body to teach others that they are innocent, that they are not their bodies, they are free and they deserve only love. Love, I give you my body to use for your purposes. Thank you, love. My body is your body. Beautiful. Then just notice what it feels like in your body right now. Does your body feel lighter? Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you. Great work today. Thanks for joining this healing circle and strengthening these ideas for the good and the well-being of all of creation. Thank you. Way to use your body today. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time I see you.